When we are talking about the term idol today, it's hard not to mention the idols trained and polished in K-pop star system. A system which, on the surface, is a process of transforming an ordinary person that has some talent to a god in the eyes of the fans. They are trained to be the shiniest stars. Comparing to good actors who left their glamour to characters from different space and time in cinema and human history, idol's job is more like becoming a perfect human in front of the camera, on and off stage at their present time. Among those idols, some have flawless faces, some dance like machines running in full power, know their outstanding ability to track the camera position, adjust their facial expressions, and leave legendary close-up shots. Personally, I was often amazed and wondering at the same time by their performances. How could someone always look this smooth, shiny, almost unrealistic? To an extent, virtual reality and artificial became real idols group concept. Will they ever get tired for keeping that flawless perfection? Then months later, I left with the thought of I'm never coming back, for I was seriously scared by the toxic fan culture that eliminates the identity and idea of the self and put labels on everyone's faces as merely some type of idol and someone's fan. In the meantime, I saw too many versions of the idol in different fans' perspectives. They all seem to know what she was thinking and what she wants. The fans were always so confident and affectionate, almost like they're performing to other fans about their love. Somehow, the idol became a belief that no one can doubt, yet I was never certain about receiving any direct and concrete message from her. For she knows the camera too well. It's not her reacting to audience's gaze, but she and many other idols have been trained and changed for earning and keeping audience's applause. She and many of her peers, they all seem to follow the same pattern. What they make and what will they become, and how far they could go. The defining factor is always seemed to be company resources, luck, and timing. All of these things have little to do with the artist herself. A few years passed. The thriving of VTuber and virtual idol industry redraw my attention to this area. If real idols are people always getting themselves prepared for camera, virtual idols are creations only existed for the camera and the audience behind it. It's not hard to observe they are imitating real idols' projects and stages with a hope to find their own form of performing and interacting with the audiences. For starters, the existence of the camera is somehow changed for 3D motion captured performances of virtual idols. While the performers might be trained in a similar way to real idols in terms of dancing and singing, virtual idols' performances were presented through virtual models surrounded by other models that make their performances seem to be on a stage or somewhere fancy. They don't perform to a fixed camera position, but a direction where the audiences should be awaiting. As this time the camera captures their actions as dots and lines, rather than a person's image captured from a perspective within the camera frame. In contrast to real idols, however, the exposure to virtual idols' private lives and own opinions are required as part of the content they are creating, rather than something to hide, since the difference in strategy here is, for real idols, the textures and flaws of being human need to be removed for that perfect idol image. Idols are human, but they need to be different to the human we see every day surrounding us. They are a better version of human. Virtual idols, however, need to first inform and convince the audience with the liveliness, shared experience, and sense of down-to-earth. How she needs to buy other members coffee for being late at group dance rehearsal. How she bravely touches a cat in a cafe and got bitten. As every time they need to remind their new audiences, this is not an anime, we are not game characters, we are real people, streaming live. This, however, doesn't mean virtual idols have more authority and agency than the real ones over their careers. As a matter of fact, most of them never will, for they don't own the characters and model like a person owns her own body. If real idols only look that ethereal under the fancy makeup and video filters, they still have the moment of off-guard and being alone. For company-hired 3D virtual idols, however, the model, the motion capture room, the stream setup, the IT team responsible for live motion capturing. Only when all these elements are ready, the virtual idol shows up. What I want to share in this video, however, is not just criticism against how some of these idols performed perfect images that no one, including themselves, can retain, no matter virtual or real, but the existing and trending phenomenon I observed in both the real and virtual idol industry, probably more than these areas, about how they want unrealistic flawlessness from real people and sense of reality from people who perform through virtual bodies. What's going on? And where are we heading to? Let's start with the real idols first. Before official debut, the trainees were cruelly trained and selected. Some were kicked out because of a better competitor, some waited for years and still can't get debuted for not fitting to the group style. The entry level for being an idol trainee is already high. To be selected, talent, hard working, luck and chances are all necessary. After confirmation of the debut, the group members need to get ready for the real idol world. First and foremost is the glamorous idol facade, constructed by a good natural-born face, expensive beauty care projects, personalized makeup, food diet and extensive training for keeping body shapes, plastic surgeries even. Rumor has it, for some of them, the rights to control and adjust the idol's face and body will be included in the contract with the company, so some of them can't cover songs they like, show up in their idol friends' cameras if not permitted. Some also can't say no to surgeries that might change how they look forever. The idol facade need to be perfect and unbreakable, especially for girls' idol group. So we hear some funny stories like some idols' food card got banned just before important performances. That's a strategy company uses to keep them slim. The girls were too hungry, so they borrowed the food card from an idol of another group. That idol then got scolded for spending too much on food. Well, we might only find it funny because when the girls were telling the story, they went on top and they wouldn't be treated like this anymore. But the strict body management in similar manner is no news in K-pop idol system. In this aspect, virtual idols seem to be running in a more human-friendly way by not needing to strictly managing and actively changing the performer's body, as the corporeal desire has been moved to an adjustable virtual model. This, however, raises the question around the performer's intricate relationship with the body they use to perform.
我会觉得你比真人偶像更有核心竞争力的点在于你的稳定。很多真人偶像他会明确的衰老，会身材走样，然后甚至他可能还会有被他的私生活所影响到的他工作主业的一个部分。但是你很稳定，因为你的形象一直是很漂亮的，然后你的身材是一直是这样很紧致的，然后很有少女感的。
我也大概理解了，这么听下来其实是一个很高的评价。
When I was writing the script, I surprisingly found out Ellen, my favorite member from the virtual idol group ASO, was invited to an interview, in which she shared her understanding of being a virtual idol. Sadly, the interviewer made the same mistake as many others who have never loved a virtual idol before. He believes virtual idol, here using Ellen as the example, has only the advantage of being stable. Comparing to human celebrities, he says she's pretty, slim, and she will always look like this. What happens in the performer's private lives won't influence their virtual performing career and most importantly the virtual idol character that much comparing to real celebrities. And that's it? Stable? Sure, he's not quite wrong, and I do agree that might be one of the critical reasons we see more and more tech giants and brands choosing to build a virtual idol that fully belongs to them, then assign her the one and only mission in her life as being a brand ambassador. They gave it human identities like voice, name, and appearance so she can take the job that used to be given to human. She therefore exists like an icon, an unmovable statue that was never given life but will never betray the meaning people imposed on her. Is that the staple they're asking for? I don't see the difference. When it comes to a virtual idol with a unique human performer, however, many fans found it ignorant and offensive even when someone tried to conclude what the virtual idol has offered with this one word. Human does things because they're alive. Human makes mistake because we don't share the same brain. Things known to be right might be considered to be utterly wrong by some people. Humans' mind might change because of the people they met, the things they went through, etc. and etc. You can't say a real celebrity is always stable. Even the most obedient people might make unpredictable moves. We see scandals revealed every day. But then sticking this word on the head of a virtual idol when you're actually talking to her. How's that different to fully ignoring the presence of the human performer and what she personally has brought to this character? So I personally agree with some of the fans' comment. The person they're interviewing doesn't really need to be alien, but any virtual idol could do. Despite fans' opinion, what the interviewer had in mind seemed to be the most impressive characteristic virtual idol has, compared to how people view real idols. Even for the CEO for the idol company that participated in ASO's project.
因为我们这个女团的话是永不塌房的，而且是永不谈恋爱的，然后24小时工作的。
Watching this clip for the first time, I just found it slightly entertaining. 1 year later, however, I realized when she's saying that virtual idols will work 24/7 and the idol image never betrays the fans, she means it. Even the idols can't really do it now, working 24/7. But that's what the companies are working on. It's been exposed that the performers of ASO girls' voices were used to train AI voice source. In this video, we could hear a noticeable artificial voice that does sound like alien. The movements are probably pre-captured or animated. There are gifts audiences could send to change the size of the model's body parts or her outfits. Do I need to continue? Even this is just a leaked clip of an early version experiment. And the AI project was ended a long time ago, according to ASO project's statement. The audiences were still furious when they found out what the project has planned on doing with the girls' voices. It's becoming obvious how the industry really views the person playing the role of the idol, or, in other words, how much they want to get rid of the performer's personal influence and inconvenience as a human to secure the stable idol commodity they create and put on shelf. Therefore, the thriving of virtual idol industry offer more choices for audiences who's into or not into this industry before. Idols became more intimate and connected to their fans. While real idols change styles and go on world tour, performers of virtual idols were basically stuck in a motion capture studio and customized makeup suits, with a virtual model considered perfect and stable compared to aging human body. From the perspective of the idol company though, the idol became much easier to build and manipulate. So why, after knowing all these, we still like virtual idols? Well, let me first tell you what I don't like about some of the real idols. Idols don't thrive all by themselves. The company, group concept, the music and project productions are the major transmitter and amplifier of their attractions. Though the idol's name will be listed behind artist in the music, the real artists are always the composer, producer, MV director, and the idols are the model, the material for this performance art. It should be the music and good performances that lead us to the artist and performers. But some people in this idol system made it be like, you like me, so while I can take your money from your pocket directly because you're a fan, I reward you with some music that maybe no one else will listen to. How generous of me. I'm not saying all of the idols are like this, but the star system relies too much upon building a star, in which process the idol could be easily overwhelmed by what's supposed to decorate them. What the professional training has done are not just empowerment and enhancement of the skills, but in many cases, the total erasement of the soil that might grow sharp ideas. The idol's unique identities might be considered not beautiful enough, inappropriate to present, or against their promotional style images, thus hidden or removed. Or even worse, many trainees started idol training at a very young age and spend much more time learning how to attract others than learning to find themselves and what they really want to do. Some of them can't do the most basic mathematics, some of them can't read novels and poems. I'm not saying these things are necessary in life, but despite them being the shiniest stars on stages, I sometimes feel pathetic for an idol for the field of thinking and perspective of viewing the world she sacrifices for being an idol. Many people in the world don't have the chance to finish their education or even start one. This industry, however, recruit idols when they're too young to know what they really want. What if she doesn't even understand the lyrics she's singing? Again, for all the things I said above, they're not about any idol as individual, or it's not about all the idols you can think of. It's about this repeating star-building trend. It's honestly hard to ignore. After all, a star combined by contract is logically more stable than inspirations and uncertainty of writing a good song. Good music and works also need promotions to reach more audiences. Many popular groups do both to continue their glory. Their success then feed back to the company. The experience and resources the successful groups earn will be used back on the groups of the next generation. In contrast to the intense and highly competitive market of K-pop idol groups, the virtual streaming form in this aspect, just like social media let ordinary people share their lives and opinion to this world, opens a new way for people to become stars in cyberspaces. As the word VTuber became more and more popular in the past 3 years, we see voice actors, indie artists, illustrators, game streamers, all sorts of people building their own connections with the audience through performing their virtual characters. And in the VTuber performances, the appearance, gender, race, outfit and makeup of the performer, they just do not really matter, at least not that much, as long as they have the ability to entertain and create. It's because the virtual model serves the function to protect what they don't feel comfortable showing to the audience, rather than replacing the person behind. Virtual streaming, therefore, has been considered an adequate platform for content creators who's willing to get closer to their audiences. At the same time, they also turn themselves into consumable content alongside their works. Some messed up, some found a good balance. Either way, virtual performing offers the content creators a way to step out from the backstage, promote both their work and themselves, in the meantime still keeping a safe distance with their audience. Additionally, if there are trainees devoted themselves for the idol career, ambitious artists promote their works through virtual performing form, then there are also people who are less skilled and prepared, in whose streaming career the audiences observe and encourage them to become the idol character. To be fair, the trend of seeing an idol grows up to be the star exists long before the emergence of virtual idol industry. Virtual idols audiences, however, seem to be experiencing too many idols that have specialties in drawing, voice acting, gaming, all sorts of things, but performing like real idols. Also because of the lack of training system and talents who are brave enough to bet their times in this newborn platform. The motion capture suit restricts the dancer's body, and most artificial models can't be parallel to the glamour of the real idols at their best years. The audiences know they're not waiting for someone perfect, but spectating the newborn idol works her way up to stand on a stage. It feels like an interactive game, in which audiences observe and encourage the NPC idol to upgrade her skills, gathering outfits, going to lessons, conquering fears. Idols might retire, projects might end, but the real-time moments shared with the audiences are virtual idols' major attraction and selling point. And whatever happened after that can't really damage the memory. In my opinion, sophisticated VTubers gave out the vibe of becoming the character, which is a mixture of a real person's personality and the fictionality of a virtual character. Together with this live and interactive experience, it almost feels like the performers are giving their full potentials to their idol character. Eventually, to an extent, the performers in real life were considered to be the human models of the virtual idol. Especially after the graduation of one member, Carol, many audiences choose to support her even streaming without a model. The ex-performer of Carol is now earning bigger numbers directly from her audience, but neither her nor any others will ever be able to pick up the model and play the role of Carol again. Carol, the idol character, is still vivid in many's minds, but the character and the model are literally abandoned because of the graduation of the performer. Nonetheless, the graduation of one member truly broke the myth and feeling of secure the ASO project brought to the audience. The current members haven't talked about the ex-member ever since, but we're able to observe a change of tactics in their streams. The 4 girls left, they were not hit down by this frustrating event, but now we're seeing more is, beside their cheerful idol images and down-to-earth everyday life sharing content, they're now able to really sit down and talk about not only this dream they're chasing, as they were and maybe still are the most popular virtual idol group in China, but also this occupation as virtual idols they're performing, and how much they're enjoying it and learning from it. No matter before this incident or after, it's always quite clear in ASO audiences' minds. An AI idol functions 24/7 is definitely not what we want, but a virtual character that can only be performed by the unique person. A character that has no past but born and exists for the audience, who's earning her future with the audience's appreciation. They're not the performer behind the idol, but they are the idol. The performer's functions like human brain. The blood and water run through human body. Unless the idol you like is really a dough. Otherwise, the idols will never be the same without them. Now, I've shared with you virtual and real idols in my perception. There's one last situation left to discuss, which is the real idol becoming virtual. Look at this girl, Mion from G-Idol. Do you think she's pretty? Do you think you can remember her face? I like her face. Some audiences describe her face as almost like a virtual model, because it's really hard to identify any flaws on her face. The eyebrow, the eyes, the mouth, and the nose that's honestly really rare to be seen on Asian faces. I've seen a lot of people saying that this face is perfect, thus hard to remember, flawless, therefore almost like an artificial model. And that got me thinking, perfection, is that what virtual model wants to achieve? Hard to remember, losing the unique identity, the inextricable sacrifice. Here's another example when we talk about girls group and virtual reality. The group's name, aespa, combines the English initials of avatar and experience with the English word aspect, meaning two sides, to symbolize the idea of meeting another self and experiencing the new world. Their music video leaves sharp impressions around the virtual meets reality concept. We could see the virtual models and the idol within the same frame. Look at these girls. Thin jaws, big eyes, no sharp angles on faces. Somehow the idol's human body seemed to be more perfect even than the virtual models, with highly personalized makeups that maximize their personal identities. While fit into this AI concept, each of the members give out distinct vibes. I kind of look forward to where will the concept lead them to. With that being said, I don't really think aespa could be listed in the virtual idol category, as during at least 90% of the public performances, they show up as who they are. The virtual models doesn't represent the idol, but functions as concept elements. The main show still counts on the real idols. aespa is not the first idol group that has the idol and virtual character performing beside each other. What you're seeing now is KDA's performance in League of Legends World Championship final opening ceremony in 2018. My personal experience of getting to know this group is kind of like a serendipity. I did hear people mention KDA's name a lot when first knowing virtual idols, but haven't really got a plan to know them more, as I'm not a fan of mobile game and this form of virtual performing, in which the game characters and company intellectual property are clearly overpowering the individual performers. That's what I was thinking, so I didn't look up for the music and the performance of the character. More than a year later, one day when I was selecting songs to play in Beat Saber, in the extra sound list, KDA's Pop Stars popped up. I was curious and really want to listen to some catchy music and just to play with, so I clicked and played the song for 5 times to pass the hot level. I started to loop their songs and watch their music videos on the next day. There's a reason I want to mention how I got to know KDA. I remember listening to Pop Stars for the first time, after the intense rap that I'm completely unable to follow, and I don't blame the Korean language. I then heard a short phrase of a powerful, thick, and alluring vocal. So keep your eyes on me now. And something Korean, I don't... That's what she was singing, and I was immediately attracted. Yeah, that affection's still not strong enough to let me find out who's giving the voice. Then, a few months later, I came to know a K-pop idol group because of a hit song called Tomboy. created by the idol group G-Idol. Their musics are one of the best I've heard from idol groups. I started to loop their music and gradually found out my favorite member in this group to be Mion, the girl I mentioned before, though always acting humorously did damage her dignified princess image a little bit, but she's one of the most gorgeous K-pop idols I've ever seen. After watching a lot of G-Idol's archive within just a few days, I then noticed something special from one of their performances. Why are G-Idol's main vocal Mion and Captain Soyeon performing KDA's song on League of Legends ceremony? Then in the comment section, seeing game fans showing their interest to this K-pop group, the fans introduced their idols to the public proudly. I had to face the fact. The idol Mion who's drawing my attention is the performer who gave voice and motion captured performance to Ali in KDA. I fought for the same person for different reasons in different time and occasions. Very well. And this is when I started to allow myself watching KDA's content. For the existence of the human performers made me feel safer when consuming the content. I was impressed by the glamour from both sides, and I sort of enjoy seeing people from different areas connecting the character to the performer idol. I even downloaded League of Legends mobile and tried to use Ali in the game, but Splatoon 3 has stolen all my free time, so... Anyway, I sort of considered KDA to be the perfect form of virtual idol, since the performer and character are seemingly presented equally on stage. In the meantime, this collaboration is beneficial for both the character and the performer. However, there are a few questions left to ask. Are the character and the performer connected? Is the performer really irreplaceable? Can the performer make difference to this music project as a whole or leave any personal marks freely? We don't know for certain, but the answer are very likely to be no. It doesn't change the fact the music sounds insane, the MVs are masterpieces. I still watch KDA's content and even the G-Idol girls vlog about performing the game characters. Nonetheless, as KDA's AR performance constructed a spectacle celebrated by both the audience of game characters and the idols, I found the losing piece in the work of real idol group G-Idol. There's a consistent thematic concept in this group's creation, which is about finding and presenting the self. Unlike most K-pop idol groups, the members wrote their own songs. Therefore, you feel a strong sense of self-observation and message conveying in their work. Their album names all starts with the letter I. Who I am, what I made, what I trust, I burn. That's when this group got hit down at their highest moment because of scandals of an ex-member. Then 1 year later, when old fans are leaving, their name and music are fading out from people's memory. They had this legendary comeback with again an original album named I Never Die. This is undoubtedly their last fight, and everyone devoted themselves fully for this comeback. And now months later, the title song Tomboy is still on top of the chart. Literally, they never die. And to be honest, as a new fan looking back at their history, it's kinda hard to believe a miracle like this is achieved by their own music creation. Now the next original album of theirs, I Love, is coming. An album about the members' personal experiences and attitude to love. The title song Nude, inspired by Marilyn Monroe, we could see in the poster with a big red cross on the letter U, a clear reference to their work in the past, presumably with the theme Nude, but not for you, presenting myself as who I am. G-Idol's work presents a strong attitude burst out from the artist herself and personal experience. Unlike seeing works of some idol from big companies that worked hard but have very limited control over their work and group direction, the removal of personal identities we see on G-Idol's new title song poster doesn't make me feel uncomfortable, but excited for their album theme, because they came up with their own album theme and they write their own songs. It's an active choice they made to look the same. That made me really curious about how will they deal with the Barbie dolls they've turned themselves into. Their work is part of them, a characteristic that often found on artists' original creations. In conclusion, Let me first remind you, this is a very personal video with a very personal conclusion. So by now, I think it doesn't really matter whether idols are virtual or real, or whether they are idols, but what the creators are able to convey through this form. Undeniably, the newest technology is participating in every aspect of our lives, contents we consume, and bring changes we're not expecting. Beyond the convenience and inspiration they bring, however, both the virtual and real idol industry should keep in mind what they're creating with human body and human characteristics should not replace the human experience and the human's personal attitude to things. Nonetheless, I feel like the intention to borrow human identities then produce similar-looking Barbie dolls is going to be a long-lasting joke in this century. It's just technology really blurs the line in our definition on the body. Either way, I'm more willing to treat the potential virtuality could bring as a powerful tool to present the human beauty, problem, and some other complexities, rather than hiding who we really are and the world we're living in. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave your thoughts in the comment. I'll see you in the next video.